Hey everybody, whether you've been challenged to work or find leads during unique times, today we're going to talk about and answer some of the common questions of how can I generate business that's not your typical open house, door knocking, FSBO expireds. We're going to give you some ideas so that entering 2021, you're going to be able to build a bigger business. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Wilson Liang. I'm the team lead for our team here in the Bay Area with over 9 agents and 6 staff members. We help over 100 families a year, 100 million plus in volume. Whether you're a new agent or an experienced agent and you're looking for tips, strategies, ideas, systems, let us know, comment below, and also hit that subscribe button. And more specifically, hit that little bell icon so you're notified when we release new videos. And today we're gonna share 4 tips for you to lead gen more successfully and win clients over in 2021, considering unique times that we're in. Tip number 1 is to give you some practical ideas for lead gen methods, especially during a time where door knocking and open houses is not necessarily available for us to be able to execute on. First is cold calling. Now, when you think about cold calling, you typically think about circle dialing, FSBOs, expireds. These are the common methods that most trainers are gonna advise you to call. Yet that is still available, and have you revisited that is another question. And you should definitely script practice and potentially pursue it. However, there's also other methods that you could pursue. You can use tools like Property Radar. You can use people from Upwork to be able to find different numbers and different contacts for different segments of the market. For example, one of our agents pursues something called death of joint tenants. That means when someone on title is recorded unfortunately passing away, there's typically a higher probability of sale. Now it's up to you to do the legwork to find the data and to be able to reach out, whether you knock on a door, deliver a gift of condolences, or you directly reach out via cold calling and calling them and seeing if they have any interest in improving the home, keeping it as a rental, or possibly selling. Another cold calling method is from my good friend Jatin out in the East Bay. And his method is making sure he consolidates a list of people that own 4-unit apartments. Why 4-unit apartments? He was able to explain to me that most real estate agents, residential at least, do not want to pursue multifamily that are tenant occupied because tenants are another animal to deal with. The other is commercial agents tend to want to focus on bigger complexes, 10 units plus. So that creates a segment in the marketplace that is neglected. So that's one other way that you can consider and think about when you gather data to figure out what segment can you create a niche for cold calling. Another strategy that you most commonly hear of is coming from contribution. Now I'm gonna give you some more specifics to consider when you're coming from contribution. Now coming from contribution is a very general term. That means you're giving before you expect to receive. But we wanna be strategic. I know we have a database of people that already like and trust you, and you want to come from a place of providing value, information. Hopefully they raise their hand one day and ask you for real estate help. But you also want to be strategic with your allied resources, with your vendors, with your agent partners and referrers from out of area. You want to strengthen these relationships because you want to be top of mind when they come across anyone that's thinking about buying or selling as well, not just a direct client. How do you do that? You help them express their message. What's their mission statement? What do they mean to their community? And you put it out there because you are proud to be in partnership with these people in business. So whether it be a lender, whether it be a business owner locally, a struggling restaurant that obviously might need some awareness in the community, you as an agent could put them out there by interviewing them, by asking appropriate questions, and by releasing the content in your platforms that you're in. And a third idea I have for you is canvassing. Now, oftentimes when we think canvassing, we think door knocking. And I know in unique times, not everyone's going to be opening their door or going to be welcoming at the door, even if they open, or even expecting you in that matter. So canvassing is another way for you to be able to be socially distanced with other people, but also still be able to make human contact, delivering something of value. A simple wave or a simple smile goes a long way, especially if you're consistently seeing people. And when I think canvassing, I think of a geographic location that you can establish what we call a farm. Now, you might not be door knocking physically, knocking on the door, ringing the doorbell, but you're gonna be walking in the neighborhood. And oftentimes, a lot of these people haven't had much human interaction recently. So what that means for you is you will be very memorable as long as you come from a place of what we just talked about, contribution. Give them something of value, even if it's just simply your time and your attention. And you will become a memorable person in your respective farm while you canvass. And that's another tip I have for you. There's a lot of delayed gratification when it comes to lead gen and other methods that you would potentially pursue. And the thing is, it's an even playing field out there right now. I bet if you're considering canvassing as a risk reward, other people are thinking about it the same way. If there's big hills that you have to climb from lot to lot, that's the same hill that every other agent that would need to pursue as well. So it's an even playing field. Think about the long term. How can you take advantage of this unique time and maximize based on your activities and your time allocation and your time blocking? Tip number 2 is about relationship building. As we know, we're real estate professionals. We're real estate salespeople, real estate brokers. Honestly, we're not salespeople. We are relationship managers. We are there to help people make big decisions. And how do we do that? We build stronger relationships. So whether you're talking to a brand new person that's a lead, or you're talking to someone that existed in your database for years, I'm gonna give you tangible ways to strategize what you talk about so you can build a stronger relationship so that when they have a need, not if, eventually people are gonna make life decisions and choices. When they have a need, you're the first person they think of. The premise of this strategy is for you to come from care and curiosity. As you have conversations with individuals, as a salesperson, automatically, sometimes we default to selling and selling and selling, talking about what we do, how we do it. They don't want to hear any of that. During times of crisis and during these unique times, they just want to be heard. Oftentimes they haven't had many conversations, so you're the first or one of the few in the day. And I'm gonna have you focus on 2 topics versus the one that we typically think we need to focus on. The one that we typically think we need to focus on is process. Process is free staging. Process is lower cost. Process is giving a rebate. Process is how fast or how efficient our stats. Don't even talk about that. Talk about the other 2. The past or the pains that they have in their lives, and have a focused conversation about that. Show them that you care about spending time talking about that. And then the third is talking about the future. And the future is typically their dreams and their goals and what they look forward to. And they want to talk to someone about that because they might not have talked about it with anyone else as they go through their day-to-day managing the crises that are here right now. So let's talk a little bit more about the past pains / the future and the dreams, because we want to build stronger relationships with our clients, especially when it comes to lead generation, lead follow-up. We want to be able to build relationships, not just shallow transactions. So regarding the past, when you have a conversation with a client, you should also look internally about yourself. How often do you think about your environment, where you grew up, the people that were involved in your life to make you who you are? And that means you need to appreciate who you are first, and then you'll be able to also utilize the same strategy in appreciating your clients as they are. Because they have their upbringings, they have their experiences, and they might not have had the opportunity to express that. And if you're all ears and listening to exactly who they are, and come from a place of understanding and you really care for them and you're curious about them, they're gonna feel very comfortable with you, that they're gonna build a lifelong relationship with. More so a relationship personally before actually thinking about you being a business professional and helping them from that standpoint. Second is going to be talking about the future or what they plan for or their dreams. And oftentimes their dreams is tied to their housing goals. Where they see their family, where their family and their kids going to school, where they anticipate living, the opportunities that their lot would provide, such as a yard. etc. So we oftentimes will talk about one or the other, depending on if we are past-based or if we are future-based people and thinkers ourselves. The idea for you in this video is to think about utilizing it for lead gen, lead follow-up. How can we have a focused conversation on each one so that you can take scrupulous notes to utilize for your future calls and future conversations with each respective person, or if someone else picks up the phone like a spouse or a child, you can kind of tie in the conversation so it's never a cold conversation. Tip number 3, we're gonna talk about the subject of consuming content, consuming information versus creating it and creating opportunities. Oftentimes we go through our day, our work day, we're working in the business, making calls, writing contracts, but in between, we're scrolling Facebook, we're scrolling Instagram, we're watching a YouTube video, we're constantly consuming information, and that might not actually be beneficial for you. I want you to put that aside and find purposeful time to create new ideas. Comes from internal, to create opportunities, not just necessarily making the call, but think about unique ways where you can make additional contacts or build a stronger relationship with someone, not necessarily just by the pure idea of making your contacts for today. Creating content or creating something takes a lot of thought. And behind closed doors, behind the curtain, when you're not working, you should be thinking about what we call working on the business that I've talked about in other videos. And that's how you can create a better future for yourself. Because if you're leading a life where you're just consuming and looking at what other people do, you're predicating what you do based on what others do. Versus how often have you looked internally and asked yourself certain questions to figure out exactly what it is that you want to pursue. That's a tough pill to swallow because we don't do that often. And even I need to make a conscious effort to slow down and to think about that. So that's the tip number 3. Think about how you can create a better future for yourself, create opportunities. And it takes a lot of time and you have to be very patient. And last tip number 4 is focusing on what you could control versus the things that you can't. It's also tied to you thinking about your problems and focusing on your problems and they become bigger. But if you focus on solutions, if you focus on how you can get out of the hole, you're gonna look for opportunities to get out and to be better. So focusing on what you can't control looks like, oh my gosh, it's raining today and I can't do X, Y, and Z. Or because of the pandemic, everything in my life is going wrong. Or because a client decided not to work with me, it ruins my day and I'm gonna drink 2 glasses of wine and sit at the bathtub. Those are things that you don't have a control over anymore. But what we should be thinking about instead is, because of that circumstance, what's 100% that I could apply today? How can I improve my situation knowing that happened? Taking it for it happening for us, not to us, and we're not in a predicament that we don't have control to make a difference, because we do. We want to think about the ways that we can improve. And that's what focusing on what you could control, such as how I spend my time, what's calendared, who am I spending my time with, what are the things I'm thinking about, creating things instead of constantly consuming things and being in the drama of other people's lives, that's where it comes into play. And of course, tied to this is what I said earlier, you putting a lot of effort in your problems. I want to challenge you with a thought and a question. I want you to put yourself in the shoes of yourself a year from today, 3 years from today, in the future. And oftentimes when I do that, I can only imagine that I was so concerned for things that do not matter anymore. The problems you have today, oftentimes in the future, are gonna be a thought that you're gonna forget. So I challenge you to look at your problem today and to move past it sooner so you can focus on creating and doing things for yourself. And that's the mindset tip that I want to give you for tip number 4. And that's all for this video. Hopefully you found it helpful, whether you're a new agent or you're an experienced one. These tips, strategies are topics that it's never bad to visit the basics of anything, whether it's Steph Curry shooting a shot or if it's us practicing a script or working on our mindset. If you found this helpful, subscribe. Once again, remember, subscribe to our channel, make a comment, like this video, hit that little bell icon so you're notified for the next video we anticipate releasing every week. Thank you again.